Hi, Kari. Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, I'm probably better than you since you just moved.
Yeah, it's been a little hectic for
I
certain.
bet. I know. Thanks for taking our call. I have some sad news to tell you. I had to put my little sugar baby down.
Aw.
It was a long time coming, and based on our last conversation I had, I was like, all right, it's getting near, I thought, because I was quizzing you so much about those dosage questions. So
Yeah,
yeah,
very sorry.
yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Such a hard thing to do.
she had a bad night, and I was like, I never want to do that ever again. So, yeah, I had given her as much CBD as I wanted to. And I was always giving her all these other things too, rescue remedies and flower essences and the phenobarbital. But the other one, I was giving her a salt. So she was just loaded by midnight. And then she started seizuring again. And then I gave her phenobarbital, and she just bounced off the walls and couldn't walk all at the same time for 4 hours.
I'm so sorry.
I
That's so
know.
hard.
Thanks. Yeah. What's crazy, and this is like the story of my life for the past 2 months. She literally had the best morning after that. She freaking ate so much food and was like sitting on my lap purring, like when Jennifer was here to do the deed.
Aw.
Like, oh my God, dude. I was like just so hoping she'd just be like lethargic and passed out. But so I get it when people don't want to put their pets down when it's like that. It's like a roller coaster. So
Yeah.
anyway, but thanks to your product, I know we had a lot longer life together. So I'm grateful for that. And we've learned a lot talking to this nurse lady that's local here in town. She is certified RN, and she assists people with chronic conditions to get their medical marijuana license. Anyway, we just had another possible thing to add for our podcast listening to her. And she got a lot into the sublingual application of your products or any products. And what we summarized was that if we could have made a much stronger concentration of, say, your product, and then we could have just made it so strong that we just put one drop and just instead of making it go down into her gut, just like stayed in her mouth.
hmm
She thought that would have been a more beneficial way to apply the medicine. And I just wanted to get your feedback on that.
There's a little kickback when you start talking about it like that. And this is what it is, particle size. It has to be of a certain particle size to actually pass into the bloodstream. And so the stronger you make it, the more agglomeration occurs within it. And so that increases the particle size and makes it less likely to be absorbed that way. And so there's a maximum that you can hit before you start reducing the efficacy in that way. And so that's why you can make them strong to a certain extent, but at a certain point it starts becoming counterproductive. And so I try not to, I make them like about where I was with you is about as strong as I like to make them.
Okay.
There are some water soluble cannabinoids that are in nano form. And even those are only 200 milligrams per gram is all you can pack in because you have to coat them with the emulsifier and surfactant. And that's all you can fit within 1 gram. And those were fairly close to nanoparticles still, but if we would have gone stronger, there would be that point where it would we'd be paying more and absorbing less, if that
Oh,
makes sense.
okay. And when you talk about particle size, are you talking about the plant material that's already been reduced already? What are you referring to when you say particle size?
So the cannabidiol, like the CBD or the CBG, when you make hemp oils and cannabis oils and concentrates, they're in their strongest form, almost like a paste. They're very thick and viscous, and all of those particles are stuck together. Now, imagine taking just like a grain of rice size amount, little ball of that, putting it into your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to absorb very much of that because it's oil, and oil doesn't like to go into water.
Mm.
And so you're going to be sucking on it and you're going to get a little into your bloodstream, but not very much, right?
Okay.
And then you're going to swallow that and it's going to go down into your belly and it's going to be bouncing around in your belly, but it's still repelling water and doesn't want to get absorbed.
Mm,
So that's why we put the lecithin into the tincture to help put a phospholipid on the other end so that it has one end that wants to grab onto water so it's more easily absorbed. But the idea is to dilute that oil, melt it into another oil so that its particles spread out through the oil. And then you add
um,
the lecithin, and the lecithin can bind to that. So now you have water soluble ends throughout that whole mixture.
got it.
And so you get good gut absorption that way, but you also get good oral absorption that way. And so you could dose, in essence, those in kind of a sublingual fashion, in that you put just a drop or two at a time and drizzle it into the cheek and let it absorb and not really necessarily having it go into the gut. Like when I give the tincture to my dog Anders,
Mm-hmm.
she likes it so much and she's used to getting it so much that I just hold the dropper out and
Yeah.
she'll lick it off there. And really, it's not going into her gut. She's not,
Right.
because it's not enough. She's just getting it onto her tongue. And then most of that is getting sublingually absorbed.
Right. Yeah. So with dogs, it's such a different.
Thing. Yeah, with cats, you have to do the like almost drizzle it into their cheek just a couple drops at a time if you want to get the sublingual absorption.
Yeah, but then like when I was doing, even though you were doing it 3 times, because since she was getting the 75 drops, that was still 25 drops a day. So it was like, yeah.
Yeah, you can a quarter of a dropper at a time kind of type thing. That's still not going to go into their gut. It'll stay within their mouth.
Interesting. It was totally worth the experiment. Yeah, for sure. I think in my mind too, I was just like, I want every single drop to get in there and I don't want you spitting anything out. And so I would mix it with stuff to make sure it was all of it was in there. Right. Cause I can't.
Yeah, no, I get that. And
So
when they eat it over food and stuff, then it's definitely going into their gut.
yeah, man, cats are so picky like that. Oh my gosh.
They are. Had a little
Um,
better luck with, we were talking about different oil mediums. Recently, I've been experimenting with salmon oil for cats
yeah.
because it's a little more appealing to them, right?
Yep.
But still, cats like Anders, my dog, she recognizes what it is and she, you know what I mean? And she's like willing to take it. Whereas I have not met a cat yet that's like, yeah, I want that.
No,
Right?
yeah, they're so amazing how particular they can be. So, just out of curiosity, I guess it would be interesting going forward. If we did do 3 times the strength, could we just do it in salmon oil, or what's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It could be done in salmon oil. I've got a really great supplier on salmon oil where it's because there can be some rancidity amongst omega-3 oils, but this one is processed 100% cold processed and it's a very high quality oil.
Okay.
And so the thing about salmon oils and things like that is you do want to have care with how you handle them and you want to have shorter shelf life spans so that
Mhm.
it's not sitting around for a real long time per se,
Right.
so that they're the freshest possible. Camelina is the alternative, which also has omega-3s. It's not quite as appealing to cats as far as a flavor profile, but it has a little more shelf stability. And so those are things to consider when, the supplier I get does package it for 1 year shelf life at room temperature
Okay, but the salmon or the cannellina?
with the salmon.
Okay.
And the camelina is more like a 2 year shelf life at room temperature.
Okay. I know you said you're a ways out on even being ready to do any kind of distribution like this. And just I'm preparing for when we are all ready. I'm like wondering if it would be better to make a stronger concentration. And I think in the beginning, if I recall, I was given sugar bear only 12 drops a day or something. So in a condition like that, she would don't they would maybe a cat could just have 2 to 4 drops a day, right? At that concentration instead of the 6 drops.
Yeah, so the strongest I like to make them is about 5 milligrams per drop. And that's going to be even stronger than what Sugar Bear was getting.
Yep.
And so get
Expense.
really, but then you're looking at a price point. So you're looking at different bottle sizes and things like that, which is all potential. You were using 1 ounce bottles, and there is the potential to use half-ounce bottles as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's something that it sounds like we could play around with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Half ounce. Okay, half-ounce bottles. And then in talking to this woman, Deborah, she was also like, "Oh, you could have just dropped it on her paw." And then Jennifer brought up about the anal application.
Yeah, yep, suppositories are great. And I've had really amazing results with dogs and cats with suppositories.
And what are they made out of?
So I make them out of cacao butter, which is from essentially from a chocolate plant, but there's the theobromine and all of the things that animals can't have are not a part of it's just the fat without any of the other constituents in it.
And it's like solid enough to where you can get it in.
Yep, it's solid like chocolate kind of is, and so it melts like at body temperature, and if it gets like I think it's like around 80 degrees, it'll start softening. And
Mm,
I recommend that people store them in the refrigerator if they're in warmer climates. And you do have to be careful in shipping them during the summer when it's warmer because of that.
yeah. So how would you make them? Would you have a mold or something?
Yeah,
Melt
they
it
go
with
into plastic molds and they're smaller size so that they're like it's the size that they administer for children, the animal ones, so that they're not as big as some of the adult sized ones. Yeah.
good thinking.
Right.
You would never get it in there.
And it melts a little like over the course of I don't know about 10 minutes it takes, and then it absorbs slowly that way. And we do the same thing with a little bit of lecithin in them so that there's that phospholipid so that it helps carry it into the bloodstream. And there's really great access to the bloodstream. There's like a main vein that's about 1 inch in that is what you're aiming to align with.
Oh, wow. You actually made these and would ship them out.
Yes, I have a patient right now that is a dog that uses them that had anal cancer and has been now cancer free for 2 years, and she doesn't want to quit using them because she's worried about it coming back, and but she's slowed down and they're less strong now than what
Mm.
she used initially.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and so she just as preventative maintenance continues to use a couple a week that are less strong to ensure that her dog doesn't have it return.
Wow, that's lucky girl. What about licking off the paw? What's your thoughts on that?
It's absolutely if that works. I think that I've tried doing that with Anders and she's just not really that interested in licking it off herself. But I think cats, that might be a better, like especially being like salmon oil or something of that sort, that they would be more apt to want to clean it off their paw.
Right, they're like,
I
what?
think it depends just on the animal itself.
Mhm.
Some animals you can also another good form of administration is to rub it on their belly, because the belly is where there's not a lot of fur and you get good absorption, but that's better absorption for the lymphatic system as opposed to like the oral route.
Okay.
And so
Um,
it really depends what you're treating there.
okay. And say licking off a paw versus anal application, which one's getting absorbed faster? Sublingual or anal?
Sublingual is going to definitely be the best, although you do get really great absorption if there's enough lecithin in the suppositories because you are having access. It's the same principle where you're bypassing liver metabolism, you're bypassing the stomach and going direct for bloodstream in both cases. And so I would say they're very comparable as far as a form of administration.
Okay, it's just like with cats. I think our audience is going to be mostly cats just because I have experience with that and feel more comfortable talking about that. But as far as cats go, yeah, like my cat totally trusts me. So I think it was a unique experience. I was just like putting it on a piece of saran wrap and pressing it on there. And I was like, I don't know if this is working, but it does really probably should go inside. Where
Yeah, ideally you want to get like I tell people to use their pinky. Most people would just put on a glove and use their pinky and go into the first knuckle.
oh, okay. So yeah, you're really getting it in there. Yeah.
That's about an inch, a little under an inch,
Yeah.
somewhere in
Yeah, I don't know if she would have let me do that.
there.
She would let me do the other one, but I was like, that's a whole nother realm.
It is.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not, nobody's gonna even do that to me. Only me, I guess. I would only do it to me. Okay, do you have any more questions that you can
Yeah.
think of? Go ahead.
Yeah. So Carrie, when you were talking about this oil, very concentrated oil that isn't really absorbable, would RSO be in that category? Is that RSO? So then that's not really absorbable?
RSO is definitely in that category, and people use it all the time and have good results, but they have better results if they dilute it into
Oh.
other oils, and especially if they add lecithin into it, because you're basically, if you imagine it bouncing around your gut, you're breaking off little tiny particles here and there. And by the time it passes through your digestive tract, you really haven't absorbed much of it. Whereas you put it into, say, lecithin, and then you take that, when it's melted, it's distributed through it already. And then you've got all the phospholipids that are going to grab on to water, and that'll carry it right through. And so people definitely notice the how much it increases the impact of it,
Mm.
and can take less in those cases and have a better result.
Yeah, that's interesting because I came across at least one community of people online, so a community who were saying if for a human who has cancer to start with a little bit of RSO, but then work your way up to a huge amount per day and then do that. And then, so you can take this amount of grams of RSO over a 60 or 90-day period, and then that's their protocol. So, but
Yeah.
you're saying
work-
like it would be more absorbable if they actually dilute it.
Yeah, when I
Yeah.
worked with
Wow.
people with RSO, I had a little bit different protocol. The standard protocol is to work up to a gram a day.
Okay.
And the goal of my protocol was also to work up to that gram a day. But instead of starting with, most people will start having psychoactive effects at only 10 milligrams. And they have to take a gram a day, you're going up to taking 1,000 milligrams, say, of the oil, right?
Yeah.
And so it takes people, in some cases, quite a long time to get there. What I would always suggest with my patients is that to make a tincture, because in a tincture you can moderate your dose much more easily than you can by taking a grain of rice,
Mhm.
because you're actually able to dose it evenly. And the second thing that I would recommend is that they start with the majority of that RSO in suppository form.
Okay.
Because when you bypass liver metabolism, you're bypassing the liver metabolites that cause the psychoactivity. And so you can go into the bloodstream and not have the same amount of psychoactivity as if you would have taken it orally and gone through liver metabolism. And I would start having my patients do, say, 600 milligrams of it in a suppository, and then just start building up with the oral. And then as they get used to taking it, and then you can taper the other way if you'd like to. But a lot of times people would take half orally and half in the form of suppositories when I would work with them. And I would also have them put it in bath salts,
Mhm.
uh, because every hair follicle on the body has a cannabinoid receptor, and the goal is to saturate all of your receptors so you get receptor upregulation so that your tolerance increases when you're doing those protocols. And so it was a way of you're saturating basically all your receptors inside and out.
That's fascinating. It's so funny because when Jennifer told me about the anal application, I was like, that's so awesome because I can give her one medicine in the mouth and the other one in the butt. That's amazing. I'm so happy.
Right?
I was like, get it in both ends. Yes.
Right?
I was like, I'm down.
Where else can we put it?
I was so
On the
excited.
skin, you put it everywhere,
Oh
right?
my God. I know. And
You gotta
get
talk
it in
about it.
both ends. You don't want it coming out both ends, but you want it going in
Yeah,
both
For
ends.
sure.
So inappropriate. Any more questions for you?
Yeah, one other thing that this lady mentioned was that, first of all, to back up, Corey mentioned that she was putting the CBD tinctures for Sugar Bear into some cream and mixing that in a syringe and putting that in her mouth. And this lady said that wasn't really good idea because that would decrease the absorbability. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't see that would personally decrease the absorption.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Again, you're diluting it in that case, which is spreading the particles out, and heavy cream being another fat. It does add more fat as far as dietary fats, but that would really be the only thing that I would have to comment on it. The way I see it, the more it can be spread and diluted through a solution, the
Mhm.
easier it is for to be absorbed within the stomach, because just simply because it's smaller particle size when it's diluted through. And that also adds a small amount of water to it, which can aid in the absorption from my perspective.
Yeah. There would be times where I'd give her the CBD and it would just stop everything like immediately.
Yeah.
There was a fair amount of times that would happen. So yeah.
Sublingual, ideally, what you're trying to do in that case is get it into the bloodstream as opposed to getting it down into the stomach for more immediate uptake by the body, especially avoiding the digestive system. Not everybody's got a great digestive system. And so when you can get sublingual absorption as opposed to going down into the stomach, in most cases, you're going to get more value and more of the cannabinoids that way.
Oh, okay. So that was her school of thought.
Yep.
Okay. And so for human consumption, you're never mixing it with anything else except for the oils that you find create better absorption. Like I was mixing it because I was trying to get down her mouth, but you've already formulated that these oils that you use are like probably working in all those levels. When you recommend it to a human, do you just have them do it sublingual, or are you, I know you're doing like several applications like the suppositories and also the pills. So are you going at it like at a third angle when you're doing like, say it's a suppository, oil in the mouth, and then a pill, because you're also targeting like three things there. Yeah,
Right.
and topical.
Yeah, it really depends on what I'm treating and how. I have some water soluble tinctures. I also have like oil tinctures and things like that. I like to mix the medium chain triglycerides, which is the MCT, and I like to use a C8, which is less carbons. So it's a smaller chain size, which is more easily absorbed. And the MCT oil really gets into the brain and nervous system. Whereas the long chain triglycerides, which have more carbons attached to them, are more about the lymphatic system. And so it depends what somebody is looking to address. But I usually like when I mix oils to make them available for everyone, I mix both medium and long chain triglycerides, and that way they're gonna get the best of both worlds.
So I guess in particular with seizures and cat, would you recommend that? Definitely. And like I said, what I'm gathering here is it just depends on where the cat's at and how bad everything is or how not bad it is, depending on the application that you would administer. say that we'll just do two spectrums. One spectrum being they're just now starting to have seizures. Would you just say we'll make a concentrated strength, couple drops morning, couple drops evening, sublingual? But then like in Sugar Bear's instance where the animal communicator thought that the mass had started to regrow in the brain, and that's what the seizures got worse. So at that level, I was doing every 4 hours for like at least almost a month, if not more, there towards the end. And that, so in that extreme, tell me like what you'd recommend as far as all three modalities or two, like suppository and mouth.
So there is a very valid reason to get it down into the stomach.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that metabolite, when it goes through the liver, has a longer life within the body.
Mm.
And when you get it down into the gut, you can do, say, 8 hours instead of 4 hours. And so it changes the dosing protocol. If you're taking it sublingually or in the form of suppositories, those receptors are going to be clearing faster.
Okay.
So
Sugar
it
Bear was
just,
she was in a really bad place then if I was giving her max dosage every 4 hours. Like she was struggling for the most part, poor thing.
yep.
Oh, I was like shoving it down her, like, you're
Aw,
staying here. I feel bad. She was so patient. She did it so
right.
willingly. She really did. She just would just
Aw.
sit down and just do it.
Yeah.
A
She's
lot
like,
of times I feel like they know it makes them feel better. She's definitely very willing, and I see that it makes her feel better.
okay. So yeah, and I would explain, I'm like, this is keeping you alive. This is what's making us hang out. Yeah. So
Right. I
okay.
talk to my dog that same way all the
Yeah.
time. Like, "Oh, you need to take this because of that."
Okay, so
Yep.
I'm sorry I interrupted you because it made me realize you always have the guilt, like, did I do it too early? But now that I hear you say that, that was like a pretty extreme application of even your all natural medicine.
Yeah, in most dosing protocols, even with mild seizure activity, you're at 3 times a day, not every 4 hours.
Okay.
You
Wow.
know, so when you're at every 4 hours, it really is a pretty advanced, stepped up protocol at that point.
Wow. Okay. That's an amazing way to look at it. Okay. Wow. That it's just shocking how long I actually did keep her alive then.
Yeah.
Okay. I interrupt your sentence, which I didn't wish I didn't now. But I think you were just talking about, I think you just finished your sentence because I think you were just talking about in a normal situation and then you would go like 8 hours, which I used to be able to do. It was just twice a day in the beginning. And
Yeah.
then we went all the way and just went to the extreme, but it was gradual. Okay. So I think we covered that
Right.
question. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. I think I'm questioned out. Oh my gosh, I am so grateful for you. Thank you so much. I'm gonna finish all the Sugar Bears product myself now. And then, so you're starting to fill orders, is that what I understand?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be starting to fill orders probably early next week. So
Okay, cool.
I hope to have everything ready to go throughout the weekend here. And I've been talking to the lab, and they'll be ready to start producing, I think, some of the small scale white labeling
Oh,
probably shortly after the new year here.
oh my gosh, that's so cool. Okay, I'm ready. I'm gonna place me an order as soon as I can.
Right on.
Uh,
Excited to help you
oh.
get that off the ground. And
Yeah, this is beautiful. I'm excited about this journey for sure. And thank you so much for being you and caring and doing what you do. It's a big deal. I'm so impressed how much like you do and like all your titles that you must have because just filling orders and talking to people alone is huge.
yeah, it's a lot. It's a labor of love. So
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna place an order because I think I'm gonna get some CBDA. You take CBDA for energy, right?
I do. I love it for that reason. It
Yeah.
really does give me good energy.
Okay, that's my first order I'm gonna place. And then do you base that off of weight or is it?
I like to take a gram a day of that.
Okay.
And so a gram a day is 25 milligrams of CBDA, CBGA. And so it's a combination of the two that's within there. And for me, that's a really good amount. And that's like taking an ounce of juice, basically, if it were in the juice form. If you're treating chronic pain conditions and different things like that, it may be a different amount. But I find for me personally, a
Mhm.
gram a day really boosts my energy. And I like to take it all at once in the morning.
Okay. And
Uh,
are you
that's
mixing powder? When people get it, is it in powder form and they mix it with something?
It is, it tastes definitely like, yeah, it's cannabis tasting, it's got a bitter kick to it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I prefer to put mine in capsules and take it that way,
Okay.
but that's just because it's easier for flavor.
Mm-hmm. So do you
Uh,
make the capsules and sell them? Is that normally how you sell it in capsules?
I sell it in capsules or in powder form.
Whatever people prefer. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Nice. I'm just gonna send you a text and then you just fill the order whenever you can.
Okay, that sounds great.
Sweet girl. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I enjoyed talking with you both.
Aw.
Yeah, we'll
So,
talk again.
yes, yes, ma'am. Okay, Kari, I'm really gonna hang up now.
All right, well, have a really good weekend and we'll
You
chat
too.
soon.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.